Hey brother, welcome back to this Making of a Nice Guy series. In this video, I want to talk to you about infidelity, about how it can shape our ideas about ourselves. It can shape how we see the world, how we see our safety and security, and how we drag those things into our adult life and how it affects our relationship with our wife or our girlfriend, how it can affect our relationship with everything else in our life. So I want to do that by telling you a story, and then I want to invite you to tell me your story. When I was a child, my mother was miserable in her marriage. She was miserable in her relationship. In fact, she became an alcoholic at some point. She really had no other options for herself, because at that time, women didn't have a lot of opportunities outside of the home, and it was very common for them to be domestic, to keep the house and cook the meals and make sure that her husband was happy. And my stepfather didn't want my mother to work outside of the home, and so she wound up watching a lot of soap operas. She wound up becoming an alcoholic, and eventually she wound up getting involved in infidelity. She would go out at night and go to the bars, and she was rebelling against him and herself and life, and she was trying to numb her pain, and she got involved with other men, and it caused a lot of problems in our household. It caused a lot of problems between my stepfather and her. And then later on, when I was 9 years old and my grandfather was dying of lung cancer in the hospital in Louisiana, my grandmother had an affair with one of the orderlies in the hospital. She was so frustrated and resentful and hurt in her marriage that she went outside of the marriage and actually had an affair with this orderly. And I know that because after my grandfather died, she married the orderly. He was younger than she was, but what she didn't know was that he didn't have any intentions to work. In fact, he wanted to live off of her. He lost his job and he just stayed home all the time and didn't want to do anything. And so they wound up getting an annulment. But it was another example of infidelity that I was witnessing. And then later in life, my own wife, my high school sweetheart that I married, had an affair, and there was infidelity on her part as well. So not only did I have these examples to show me that I wasn't safe, that it wasn't okay, that I couldn't trust the people in my life, I carried those beliefs into my second marriage. I carried them into my adult life. In fact, I was always waiting for the shoe to drop, always being a little concerned that my wife was going to leave me, that she was going to have an affair, and that it was going to mean bad things for me, that this was going to happen to me too. And so that living in that belief, though, didn't allow me to see the person who was in front of me, to see my wife as she was. It was something that I overlaid onto her, and it wasn't until I could finally learn to trust myself and to trust life and to know that I was actually okay, that I had been okay the whole time, that we had been married 20 plus years and that everything had been fine. And that even if it wasn't, even if there was infidelity, even if she did go off with someone else, that it had nothing to do with me. It was more about her and her pain and what she needed for herself, and really did not define who I was or have any effect on my value or worth as a person. It wasn't until I learned those things that I was able to relax. I was able to let go of that, and I was able to stop looking over my shoulder, waiting for the shoe to drop, waiting for something to come out of the shadows and eat me, whatever euphemism you prefer to use to visualize not being safe. So I want to invite you now to tell me your story. Tell me what you've experienced. Tell me what you're afraid of. Tell me, are you afraid of abandonment? Are you afraid of displeasing people? Are you afraid of making a mistake? Because if you've read the book No More Mr. Nice Guy, and if you haven't, I highly recommend that you do, he talks about these things in that book. He talks about how we sabotage our relationship with women. with other people in our life, how our sense of self and how we see ourselves and how we don't think that we're good enough and how we think that life is against us, how that affects our relationship with our kids and our coworkers and our clients and our bosses and our friends and our extended family and strangers on the street, how it makes us hold tension in our body and walk around feeling like we're under attack all the time, and how when we can let go of those things and when we can know that we're okay, that we're whole and happy and healthy, that we can actually relax and we can enjoy our life and we can make choices for ourselves, and we can say if something's not working for us, we don't have to be there anymore. We can choose a different adventure. And so what I want to do now is invite you into a conversation. I want you to click the link in the description below and choose a day and time on my calendar that works for you to have a 1-hour phone call. I want you to tell me your story. I want to be able to listen and ask questions and help you challenge some of your self-limiting beliefs. I want you to be able to hear yourself for the first time. I want you to be able to ask yourself, does this belief serve me? Is it true? Do I want to live that way? I want to be able to share my insights, my journey. I want to be able to share insights that I've gained from working with other men. I want to be able to point to resources, to books and videos to help you be able to surface your answers for yourself, because nothing changes significantly outside of you until something changes inside of you. You can go through a divorce, you can go through a death, you can go through a job loss, you can have friends come and go, but until something changes inside of you, you're not going to experience permanent, lasting, significant change. And that's what I want for you, brother. And I know you do too, because you're here watching this video. You've watched this far. So click that link, set up that call. Let's talk with each other. And until then, I want to remind you to be kind to yourself. And I'll talk to you soon.